Good evening. Welcome to the Corporation Township Portsmouth Committee of Adjustment meeting in person and by electronic participation. There'll be two meetings tonight, one being the Committee of Adjustment and second being the Advisory Committee. There'll be two minor variances applications for consideration by the Committee of Adjustment, and there'll be one rezoning application for the Advisory Committee to review and provide comments to the Township's Council. Please note that the meeting is video and audio recorded, and all electronic meetings are uploaded to Ms. Appell's YouTube page. By registering to participate in meeting by electronic means or consenting to have your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. So we'll start with roll call. Chris Picard.
Present.
Kim McCarthy.
Present.
Kiro Atia.
Present.
And Councilor Johnson Poulsen present as well. We'll have a few minute or so of moment of reflection now. Thank you. Hey, Monica, would you like to read the confirmation agenda, please?
Yeah, that the committee approves the March 10th, 2026 agenda as circulated.
Okay, mover and seconder, moved by Carol, seconded by Kim, all in favor? Thank you. Do we have any disclosure of conflict of interest by anybody? No? Okay, thank you. Okay, consent agenda, would you please read the resolution, Monica?
Certainly. That the Committee of Adjustment approves the minutes from the meeting held on January 13th, 2026 and acknowledges consent item 6.2, 2026 OCA conference package information as circulated. And as discussed, we will have a group discussion at the end of the Committee of Adjustment on this matter.
Okay, I have a mover, seconder, Paul and Chris and Kim, all in favor? Okay, let's move into the hearing part of the meeting. We'll go into the hearing for item number 7.1 D13 WAN Wang Min 7405 Longton Road 34 Township of Portsmouth requesting relief for new zoning comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended section 4.2 AI to permit an attached additional residential unit that's 49% or 121.46 square meters of the total floor area of a principal dwelling unit instead of 45% or 111.56 square meters as required in the zoning bylaw. So the purpose of these hearings is to inform you and the public with the opportunity to ask questions, express your views with respect to this minor variance before us today. And Township requests you please notify the secretary of the committee by email at planning@portsmouth.ca if you wish to be on record, would like to be notified of future hearings, discussions regarding a specific application. The format of the hearing is as follows. I read the application. Staff will present the information report, specifically outline the purpose of the application, summarizing compliance with the township notification and submission requirements, and outlining staff comments. The applicant will present the purpose and details of application and any other further information. Following this, the public can obtain clarification, ask questions, and express their views on the proposal. You have a maximum 10 minutes to speak. Following this, the members of the committee can obtain clarification, ask questions, and a member wishes to add a condition. I will ask for a vote on the condition. The committee will deliberate the application with any approved conditions and render a decision. Decision will be subject to a 20-day appeal period. Okay, so Monica, would you please summarize the application, notification, submission requirements, outlining staff, agency, and public comments and recommendations?
Certainly. We've already described the application and we have not received any staff comments in objection to the application.
Okay, it was circulated in accordance with the prescribed distances.
It was.
Thank you. Okay, so Monica, could you please have the owner applicant join the panels to present their application?
So we have Min Wang here in the gallery. Did you want to come up to the front and have a seat here? And Min, I have the site plan up on the screen here. If you'd like me to scroll to the floor plans as you're speaking, just let me know.
Okay, so for the record, would you please state your name and address?
And my name is Ming Wang, and my address 7405 Wellington Road, 34 Porcelain, Ontario.
Thank you. So, okay, please present your application. Go ahead.
And yes, just before I said that my name is Ming Wang, and today I come over. I just for my mirror variance application I submitted last year. And this house, I think, was built in 1986. And they had been existing finished basement there when I purchased. And before the two owners, they didn't do any the second unit legalized application. And but I purchased in 2019. So from last year, July, and I started doing the second unit and legalized. And the first thing, and I did the septic tank review and by the Weber environmental company, and they finished the septic tank report, and also they gave me the next step. If I do the second unit and legalize, they have a plan for me, and we have sent the application. And the next step, and the Weber environmental will finish the septic tank for the second unit. And later, and I did the land survey for the basement elevation, and also the result reached to the GRCA's standard. So right now, it seems everything I followed the code and the government's request. And the thing is, because the unit was existing, so the size, I didn't change any size, just when they finished before, and before they finished, they just like that size. So it looks the size over 45% for the main floor. So why that is why I simply like I submitted the minor barrier application here. So I hope everyone can support my application. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so, right, so is there anybody in the audience or online who'd like to ask questions?
No, not that I can see.
Okay, all right. All right, so we'll turn it over to the committee members. Okay, Chris, questions?
Nothing from me. It's a complete application. Thank you.
Hey, Kim,
Nothing for me.
you're
I'm just wondering, are you like, is there a family in the other unit, or like, is it a different family? In the other?
I'm going to, if I can do the second unit legalized, maybe I can, and the second floor, the basement, I can be a rental property.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
Thank you.
right.
That's all.
All right, so, okay, any conditions anybody wishes to have?
No.
Okay, so, so let's go through the process. We either approve, oppose, or defer. And this is with respect to in the matter of what Section 45 Planning Act as amended and new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended, application for minor variance requesting relief on new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-20 as amended, section 4.28I to permit attached additional residential unit or SNAP that is 49% total floor area instead of 45% as required by zoning bylaw. Okay, so we'll start with you, Chris.
I would approve.
Kim,
Approve.
Approve.
and I approve as well. Okay, and it's subject to a 20-day appeal period.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you.
So we're gonna move into the second one now. Sorry, we'll move out of the hearing and we'll deal with the recommendation, sorry, for the first one.
Okay, the resolution?
Yes,
Sure. There's no changes to the resolution as presented in the agenda.
okay, so they have a mover and a second for this. Moved by Chris, second by Kim, all in favor? Thank you. All right, let's move it back into the hearing. And we'll do 7.2, requesting relief, D13 WIT, Whitney Matthew, 2 Hemlock Crescent, Township of Puslinch, requesting relief on new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018, as amended section 4.0, site specific 86 to permit a maximum lot coverage of 38% instead of 35 as required by zoning bylaw. For proceed, Meg, you can leave, you don't have to stay here, you can leave if you want.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, then I will proceed.
Okay, so Monica, could you please summarize the application, notification, submission requirements, outlining staff, agency, and public comments and recommendations?
So you summarized the application. We did not receive any additional public comments or staff comments that were not already provided in the agenda, and public notice was issued.
Okay, would you please have the owner or applicant join the panelists to present their application?
Yeah. Hello, Matt, can you hear us?
Hello, good evening. Yes, I can.
Okay, would you please state your name and address for the record?
Yep, it's Matt Whitney, 2 Hemlock Crescent, Puslinch, Ontario.
Okay, so would you please present your proposal?
Yes, it's actually at the back of the house. I have two decks with a small space between the two that are different heights. That both decks are 2 different heights. I just wanted to join the 2 decks. Basically, it's kind of as simple as that. There's a wasted space between the 2.
Start with the next part. Monica, are there any written comments have been received?
No,
Okay,
outside of those as received in agenda.
okay.
There was one comment from Leanne Clark.
Okay. Okay, are there any members of the audience online or present like to speak?
No,
Okay, so would you let's get into the committee members then. Okay, we'll start with you, Chris.
No questions, thank you.
Kim,
No questions.
Carol.
No questions, thanks.
Okay, I have no questions as well. So let's go through the actual application. Read it out again. And it's either approved, opposed, or deferred. Amendment of section 45 of the Planning Act as amended, new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended, application for minor variance requesting relief for new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended, section 14 site specific 86 to permit a maximum lot coverage of 38% instead of 5% as required by the zoning bylaw. Okay, start with you, Chris.
I would approve.
Ken,
Approve.
Earl,
Approve.
I approve as well. And it's subject to a 20-day appeal period, Matthew.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go back out of the hearing and could you please read the resolution for the signing?
yes, the resolution is the same as was submitted in the agenda. No changes.
Okay, so I have a mover. Carol, second. Kim, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, let's go to the rest of the agenda. New business, we have the OACA confirmation conference information package. So extending it to the members who have not gone, so this is basically Kiro and Kim. So if you can let, Monica know of your intentions, so she can do the necessary arrangements. Right. All right, that's, for the new business. Anybody else have any new business? No? Staff report none, adjournment of the committee adjustment, Monica?
That the Committee of Adjustment hereby adjourns at 7:15 PM.
Okay, mover, Chris, second, Kirill, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, now we'll move into the Planning and Development Advisory Committee meeting. There'll be the one rezoning application, and we'll go through the attendance again. We'll start with you, Chris Picard,
Present.
Kim McCarthy,
Present.
Kiros Vatia,
Present.
Councilor Johnson Close are present as well, and to my right, we have Monica Farncombe, our secretary, and then in the audience, online rather I should say, is Jesse Aspeth, our planner for the township. Again, please note that this meeting is video audio recorded and all in-person electronic means are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in meeting by electronic means or consenting have your likeness and any comments posted on YouTube. Okay, so let's read the application. So it's a zoning bylaw application 9.21. Amended report, PDAC 2026-004 D14 bar 6759, Marigold West, part 11, concession 5, Township of Plissens requesting zoning bylaw amendment is to amend the Township of Plissens zoning bylaw 23-2018 to rezone the lands from agricultural A to resort commercial RC where with a site-specific provision to permit the ongoing use of the storage RVs, recreation trailers and boats RC SPXX. Okay, so let's have the owner applicant please come forward and make the presentation. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Chris Karowski. My address is 6 Honey Crescent, Guelph.
Go ahead.
I think you've sort of seen this application once before. So it's back again, 2 ways to approve things pursuant to the Planning Act with respect to zoning. One is minor variance, which we talked about last time. And committee advised that they felt this was more appropriate to be dealt with through a zone change process. So here we are. And the map up on the screen shows the property. And I would start off by saying it's sort of a weird site to begin with. This was part of a larger property, which was part of what was intended or what was for some time the Crooked Links golf course. So the designation on the property for the most part is recreational in the county official plan. There's another designation on the property, which is part of the Greenland system in the county OP, and you can see that identified as the natural environment area. And then there's a third designation, which is a thin strip of land, which is identified as secondary agricultural in the county official plan. That thin strip of land is between the natural area and the area to the left where the storage facility would.
Could you point that out, please?
Sure. I believe that the secondary agricultural designation is within this yellow toned area. The yellow toned area is actually the regulated area of the Conservation Authority, which represents more or less the 30-meter setback from the edge of the wetland. Part of that, and not really sure how much of that, is identified as secondary agricultural in the official plan designation. No, nothing is proposed for that area within the yellow line because but it is within the GRCA 30-meter regulated area. So the purpose of the application is to address a non-compliance issue on the property. And this part of the site, as you can see, sort of between the trees, the trees establish a little envelope within which a number of recreational vehicles are parked, and these would be RVs, trailers, those sorts of things. And that use, my understanding is that use has been occurring on this site for, the last 5 or 6 years, really without any issue. However, more recently, I think a complaint was lodged. The bylaw inspector had to attend the site to check it out, and it turns out that this storage facility use is not permitted under the current zoning that is on the property, which is agricultural. So I used the word weird at the beginning, and part of the reason I think it's an applicable word is because in 2010, when this piece of property we see here, which is about 3.77 hectares, was severed from the balance of that larger golf course property. And at the time it was severed, it was also rezoned from what was the specialized golf course zoning to an agricultural zone. But the weird part is that the agricultural zone permits a house. So effectively, it was rezoned to permit a house. That use is not permitted by the recreational land use designation that is in place on the property. That was, for a golf course, something like that. So notwithstanding that it doesn't comply, the township passed that bylaw in 2010, permitting rezoning it to agricultural, thereby permitting the house on the property. Fast forward to today, still no house on the property, although it's a permitted use. And the application submitted, part of the request is to retain that permitted use of a house. Because going forward, the intention at some point in the future is probably to put a house somewhere up in this part of the site. So it's not really applying for a use that is not already permitted. We're just basically requesting that that permitted use be carried forward under this application. In addition, we need to deal with the non-compliance issue. So are proposing a site-specific zoning for the property, which would recognize the RV storage use. And it would occur basically within the pocket area, visually obvious here from this air photo. And that's about a 0.6 hectare area represented in here. And within that area, the request is to allow the continued use of the site for RV storage. The application was circulated initially as part of the variance application and again as part of this request for a zone change application. And The comments, I received the comment package, I guess, 2 days ago. So the comments are much the same on the circulation of the zone change application as they were for the variance application. Sort of technical consultants acting on behalf of the consultant. And that would include the engineers, GEI consultants. They've reviewed the application and they have no concern or objections to the zoning bylaw. But the township hydrogeologist, Hardin, has no objection from a hydro-G perspective. And a emergency spill plan was submitted as part of the package to the township with the zone change application that was acknowledged and reviewed and was satisfactory to them. The Grand River Conservation Authority reviewed the application. They've got no comments or concerns because nothing is proposed within that 30-meter regulated area of the Conservation Authority or in the wetland. So they have no issues. Similarly, NRSI, Natural Resource Solutions, Inc., reviewed the application, same, because anything that's proposed on the site will be contained within that little natural pocket. They've got no issue with it. That leaves comments on planning, and that's where the weirdness kind of kicks in a little bit because of the split designation. You know, some of the comments were, well, you're proposing this recreational use, which is permitted by the recreational policies of the official plan, but part of that site is also designated secondary agricultural. Thing is, we're not proposing anything to be in that part of the site. So in my view, that's really a non-issue. Anything that's proposed to go on that site will be within the area which is designated as recreational. The second quirk is, okay, you're asking for the residential use to continue to be permitted on the site. But because the site is designated as recreational, the recreational policies of the official plan don't permit that use. And those comments are in the package, in spite of the fact that, like, that very same thing was approved in 2010. The bylaw was passed back then, and it does, I mean, the zoning on the site right now does permit a house to be built, even though the designation is recreational. So it's kind of technical. I would describe them as little technical glitches that are the problematic aspects of this application. From a practical perspective, you know, Mother Nature has sort of created a perfect site for this type of use. The trees around the perimeter provide very good visual screening, not invisible, but you know, it's not noticeable if you're driving down the road. You know, you see the trees, and if you're looking, you can see, oh yeah, there's something parked in behind those trees, but not noticeable unless you're really looking for it. So the buffer is built in that way. The location of the site on Laird and Side Road 10 provides perfect access, not super busy roads, especially Side Road 10, which is the roadway that provides the access into the site. It actually dead ends a little further north. So very little traffic on that. In fact, only the owner whose house is right here. So from a traffic perspective, you know, you probably couldn't find a better site. You you know, the general planning argument that it represents a more efficient use of the property. It could sit vacant, or, you know, you could have this use on this property, and having this use on this property, you know, does provide for some land use efficiency, which is generally deemed to be a positive land use attribute. There is really nothing around here in terms of surrounding development. It's the owner's house is across the street, cemetery on the corner, gravel pit across on the south side of Laird. Not really any nearby uses that would be impacted or bothered by this use continuing. And the continuation of the use requires absolutely no physical changes to what's there now. And what's there now simply are the trees that and the parking area. And it's, you know, there's no paving, there's no gravel. The driveway is gravel, but on the site itself, it's just sort of top grass that's grown in over the years, underlined with that good Bushlich structural gravel. So, you know, all the vehicles can get in and out of there with no problem. It operates on a seasonal basis. It's closed down through the winter. There's no lingering on the site by any of the customers. They drop off their vehicles, they leave. Mr. Bardwell, because he lives across the street, he keeps a very close eye on it. So from a practical perspective, again, you know, I think all sort of check marks. You know, but how to get around some of these little planning glitches as I described them. So as submitted, the application looks like this, and I got the comments a couple of days ago, and you know, sort of proactively requested to just have a brief chat this morning with the township planning consultant, MPG, and the county's comments on the application are county planning are kind of similar to the MPG comments, and they highlight the same things more or less. So, Monica, could you just put that other image up on the screen? Same site. The idea here is to have, you know, establish a split zoning on the site. There already is a split zoning because there's the agricultural from the edge of the wetland over to the west, and then there's EP zoning on the wetland. So there's already a split zoning on the site. So this idea would kind of extend the split zoning, but we would basically leave this part of the site where the house in the future may or may not be built, but that's the logical spot for it to go. Don't touch the zoning that's in place on that part of the property and extend it down, you know, along the edge of the regulated area, and really only rezone the part of the site where the vehicles are stored. You know, I think there's some further discussion probably to occur with the township and their consultants and the county planning department. I mean, personally, I think either approach can work. This one sort of gets around the issue of, well, how could you have an agricultural use on property that's designated recreational? Again, notwithstanding the fact that the township already approved that 10 years ago or more, that could occur. But in current context, if we leave the zoning on the north part of the property in place, we address that issue. And We also addressed the issue with this approach of, well, how could you have a recreational storage use, which is permitted under the recreational policies of the official plan, but don't forget, part of the site is secondary agricultural. With this approach, we would keep things separate. We wouldn't, the only part that would be rezoned are the lands that are designated recreational. So I think that kind of explains it, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I guess one last point, probably this part of the property, when it was a golf course, was going to be a parking lot and a clubhouse. So it would have been a lot busier, a lot more intensive use than what's here now. This is, you know, basically innocuous and I say allows efficient use of the property.
Okay, so, Monica, we have any new agency comments other than what's in the package?
No, we've not.
Okay, are there any registrants requested to speak?
No, we just have our planner here if needed.
Okay, and there are any attendees who are watching the hearing, would like to give comments or ask questions regarding the application? You're advised that the comments can be heard at a public meeting scheduled for April 15th. So we'll turn over to committee members to ask questions of the applicant or our planner, just the aspects. So start with you, Chris.
Thank you. I'll say I'm quite sympathetic to this application, but I do have a number of questions as I went through it, so bear with me. The application makes the point that there's a good tree screen. So is that anticipating a request for a fence? Or is it just making the point that, and I think personally, I think the tree screen as enhanced or as is being enhanced should be adequate. But it might be a recommended condition that you have to maintain the tree screen or provide a fence.
I mentioned it only in the report and in the application only because it exists. And in addition to what exists there today, I know Mr. Bardwell has an ongoing planting plan. So, you know, those pine trees that are there now are tall and, you know, basically the trunk of the tree is what you see mostly. But as some of that new growth kicks in, that will provide further screening more closer to ground level. So the intention is, I believe that it's appropriate as it is as well, and that further fencing is not required.
And I would agree. I just want to confirm, there are no on-site repairs or maintenance. Other than, I don't know, the most modest of.
Right, aside from the day-to-day stuff,
Yeah.
no. I mean, the property is fenced.
Yeah.
And there are solar powered video cameras for security. The gate is locked nightly. It's locked through the winter time. And you know, I think through the winter, Mr. Bardwell plows an area around the site, just, you know, in case there's requirement for fire access. But aside from that, very little.
There's no vehicle maintenance of the RVs.
No, none permitted, like, it's not part of the program for
I
the,
think would be perhaps a condition of site plan, if not the bylaw. The MDS1 requirements. I read that several times, and I'm still confused.
saw that too. So the county comments provided an address. And that address is that large property to the south, which is a gravel pit.
Mhm.
If you drive down Concession Road or Side Road 10 south of Laird, about 300 meters down, there's an old residential site. There's a house there. There's a couple of old buildings that look like storage buildings there. And you know, after getting those comments, I checked it out just on Google View today. the county was referencing the fact that there possibly is a barn there, but I think the building that they're thinking is not a barn, it's like a storage shed.
Okay. Because you were making the argument too, that this is a less sensitive use and therefore the requirement should apply anyway.
Well, there's not really going to be any humans on this property except when they're dropping off their vehicles and leaving.
So even if it's rezoned, there's really
They'll be there for 5 minutes at the most.
no different than the golfers. Yeah, okay. The county noted that this is an area that is in the mineral aggregate resource overlay. But they didn't tell me why that matters. Do we know why that matters?
Ask for a plan.
Jesse's online if he can speak to that.
Sorry, for the county, I don't have an answer on that. I apologize.
Okay, they made the point, it just seemed like, okay, there must be a reason I said it. and-
Oh, so with this property, like it is in an area that's already like it does have an existing use. It is in an area that's already like it already has development. So I don't see that would cause any impact on the mineral aggregate resources.
Okay, thank you, that helps.
I could add to that. Original policy statement requires that mineral aggregate areas, potential for mineral aggregate extraction not be hindered by any development. And of course, this would not hinder that at all. And yeah, I mean, almost all of Puslich has got gravel. So the site's no different. It probably does have gravel in there, but that's sort of beside the point, as long as what we do doesn't hinder the potential for future extraction. But I mean, if somebody chose to start hauling gravel out of there, there'd be a lot of upfront work required and applications to be approved for that, much more so than for this.
Thank you. This is quite a creative solution to the dilemma you outlined that I didn't quite understand of reading that material. And I with planning expertise, but if it stayed the way it was in the initial application, not the illustration on the screen, I was confused about why there was so much detail around property size, setback, etc., for a single family residence. Why would we not just be allowing a single family residence, if there's only the OP for the moment, why would we not just allow a single family residence with setbacks on that rezoned property of the entire size? Because it almost reads like we're anticipating a severance. I'm not sure we want to
I hear you.
condone that, right?
No severance proposed, intended. And the zoning regulations of the current agricultural zone, there's two sets of regs in the ag zone, right? One for bigger properties, one for smaller properties like this one. And for a single detached dwelling, I mean, the bylaw currently does have a number of setbacks that would apply. And in what was submitted, there was no suggestion that any of those needed to be changed. It would, if a house was to be developed on that property, it would have to comply with the setbacks of the agricultural zone as they are.
Yeah, I think it was more, my question was more around why say 0.4 hectares in the proposed draft bylaw. Because it just struck us, that's all.
0.4 hectares, that was the residential.
Which is the minimum site size.
Oh, yeah, well, that is the minimum site
Yeah,
size.
so why even say that when you've got
Oh, we've got more than that.
2.4?
Yeah.
And I would say that should just, first thing I would say that should just disappear, because it almost anticipates it.
That's the current
Oh, I know
minimum
that.
size.
Oh, yes, I know.
That's why
But
it
it's
is
just
in there.
on a site specific.
Yeah.
Position, it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay, well, I just put it in there because that's the existing requirement. I didn't think we needed to change it.
I understand. One or two more. There is no anticipation of parking vehicles here that aren't recreational vehicles, right? We're not gonna see this turn into a truck yard
Correct,
or a used car storage lot or anything like that.
recreational vehicles.
Okay. And then, yes, the planning consultant indicated a number of inconsistencies between the diagram and the draft bylaw, like the setback, the front yard setback. I will leave that to staff to sort out, but I did notice that.
Yeah, I can speak to that. That was, the one he pointed out was with respect to the front yard
Yeah, 26 versus 30.
setback, and the front yard would be the shorter frontage, like on side road 10. And I put 25 or 26 in the bylaw because that's the distance that the trees come into the site.
Yeah, I think it's the other way around. I think it was 30 in the bylaw.
I put 30 and that's a little more than that.
Yeah. No, it just.
It doesn't matter to
Basically
me.
resolved the inconsistency. But like this, Mr. Bart, and a few more vehicles.
Yeah, true, yeah. I was being a little harsh, an extra 4 meter setback.
And this is going to remain unpaved, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think the Conservation Authority would
No.
want to see anything like that occur here.
I can answer your question with regards to the working, if we're strict about that, no one's allowed to work from a liability standpoint on any of their trailers on site. They sign a contract saying they're not going to, and I enforce that strictly. They're also, before they even come in, they're inspected to make sure there's no leaks, or they're always emptied out on site on the campsites before they leave, so they really don't have any fluids or anything on site. Yeah, we planted, my wife and I planted probably somewhere 300 to 500 trees all around the whole perimeter. And a few years back, we unfortunately cut back the undergrowth just to clean up a little bit. It was an invasive species that have taken over the whole area. Well, it's taking over again.
Yes.
And if you look farther up down side road 10 towards the dead end, you can see what it used to look like, and you can't see anything. And I don't even think we'd be having this conversation right now. We just left it. But we took all the choke cherry undergrowth out. It's now coming back in at a rapid pace. It's already this high. Within a couple more years, if you drive down side road 10 and look to the right, that's what it'll look like again, if it's not cut back, which I don't plan to do. So we kind of like shot ourselves in the foot a little bit from a screening standpoint. We should have left it. It was. So, but it's amazing how fast it's, recovered and is growing, every year. So.
Thank you. That covers it for me. Thank you.
Okay, Kim.
Just two questions. One, is there limitations in terms of number of units, vehicles, RVs, whatever, that can be stored on the property? Like how does that get regulated or governed or?
Didn't include a number of vehicles. I mean, basically, as soon as that area, sort of within the trees, that what I described as the envelope, open envelope within there. Once that's full, that's it. Yeah, so it did not put in a specific number of vehicles.
Okay. And nothing, I guess, from the zoning side of things that limits.
Well, we can pose that as one of the things to be clarified.
Okay.
Yeah, just, I think depending on the type of RV, like some are larger, obviously, than others, so it's not like, trying to regulate visitor parking or something where all the stalls are the same size. Some of these vehicles will be different sizes, so, the maximum capacity in terms of numbers might vary depending on the types of vehicles that are there.
Okay. And obviously, I mean, it's a business. You're making money off of the storage of vehicles. So just in terms of a business on this type of property is obviously allowable, or is there any implications with the ag being potentially future residential or having a house on it and be also on the same property as a business? What does that do?
Okay, Jesse has his hand raised.
Sorry,
answer
I
your question.
wanted to comment on regarding the number of vehicles. Through the zoning bylaw amendment process, so as the applicant's proposing a split zone, we can potentially regulate the number of vehicles, but we could also ensure that the area of development does not go beyond what's currently developed. So we may want to limit the expansion as well through the schedules to the zoning bylaw. So that was my question. That's how I'd like to respond to specifically on the number of vehicles. And in terms of compatibility, I'd like to add as well, we can potentially address that by specifying minimum lot sizes to prohibit future severances. So
What was your second question?
In terms of the business, I can't. If I can remember what exactly I said. In terms of the RV storage area, which is currently zoned for, it's obviously a business. If on the property, a portion of the property is then zoned agricultural, which could have a residence on it, does that pose any conflict or other?
I don't I don't know why my camera doesn't turn on, but I don't see it as a conflict if it's on the same property, because the owner would be managing both. Where it could potentially become a problem is if the RV storage area was severed off, and then you have a remnant residential property and they become under two ownerships. That's more so where I would see a problem arising.
If I could just add to that, I think right now, part of the property, if not all of it right now, on the taxation side of things, is classified as commercial. So, and it's not unusual for split properties to have a portion taxed at a commercial rate and a portion taxed at a residential rate. Or an agricultural rate, I guess, that's fairly common.
Thank you. Okay, Kieran.
I guess I had a question. I think maybe it's more so directed to staff. I just want to just better understand the application, just because I guess reading the application and the documents, from what I understood is that at some point the lot was severed and the zoning changed to agricultural, and maybe it seems nobody took advantage of the agricultural use, and now the application, as I understood it with the other map with the blue borders, was to just change the zoning, like revert it back essentially from agricultural back into recreational, but retain the use of single dwelling. But with this new map, is the application to change it as per like the delineated yellow and pink, not the whole area as recreational, and retain the use, essentially split areas? Is that what, is it like a, is that what the application's like being amended to? Is that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I believe this new suggestion came about today. So this is a new suggested rezoning map as was presented in the application. So it's something that the proponent will have to work through with consultants and staff through the technical submissions to determine whether this is a possibility.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just add to that, I mentioned that it would require some further discussion with both the township consultant and the county planning department. It was actually the township consultant that kind of loosely made the suggestion, like, what about split zoning? And as I also mentioned, it does get us around some of the quirks on the property, but we'll I guess leave it to that further discussion to determine whichever way the township feels is best and most appropriate. You know, basically all we would like to do is get Mr. Bardwell out of this non-compliance issue with the bylaw, you know, clear that up and get the property properly zoned so that he, you know, can carry on with things. And just reminded me of one last thing to say. You asked about, you know, why so much detail on all of the setbacks and things. One of the reasons for that is there's a concept called shrink wrap zoning. And instead of having generic setbacks that would apply, you know, across the board, you tailor the setbacks to the specific property so that the only thing that can occur basically is what you have set those setbacks to. So it's just another level of control. And one of the other comments in the staff report was, you know, that a site plan approval would be required. I can understand why a form of a site plan would be helpful, but in my view, a formal site plan application in this case is not necessary. What we really need to identify is what's happening on the site and where. We're not proposing any development. And that's really what site plan applications primarily deal with. They would get, if you submitted a site plan in a, you know, typical setting, commercial or industrial or something like that, it would be submitted, it would be circulated to engineers, to the conservation authority, to the township environmental consultant. That's already all happened, and none of those commenters have any issue with it. So, you know, I think I was thinking about that, and that's one of the reasons why I had very specific zoning setback information, was to kind of try and shrink wrap it.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Um,
So let Carol finish.
Those were all my
Oh,
questions.
okay,
Thank you, thank you.
so-
Yeah, no, thank you, no, yeah.
just back to the site plan, there are a number of things that attributes, positive attributes, I think Mr. Bardwell brings to the property in terms of this hazmat accreditation, a number of other things. Things like that probably want to run with the rezoning or the property, not with the individual applicant. So things like, you have to have a fire safety plan, that's the fire code, but things like, you're not gonna pave it. There are a number of other things in there that I mentioned earlier that might be appropriate in a site plan agreement. A little different than the conventional site plan approval, I get, because you're not getting into the details of what trees on which boulevard, but there are a few things there that just, if you were to sell it and it remained an RV storage space, we'd want to, I think, the township, as a resident, I'd want to be assured that those good practices continue.
Right. Like I say,
And
I
that's
think,
really, and I don't know that goes in a zoning bylaw, but in an agreement on title somehow,
yes,
yes.
and I can see, as I mentioned, there's a need for a form of site plan.
Yeah.
I just don't think it needs to be the sort of classic urban setting type site plan. Or, you know, if you had a site plan application within a settlement area in Bush Lynch, that's a different kettle of fish, I think.
I agree, I would fully agree with that, yes, yes. Thank you.
Hey, several questions. First question is for Jesse. Jesse, the original recommendation was to have this rezoned as state agriculture, but have a site-specific permission to allow the storage of trailers. Is that not a viable option?
It is through the chair, it is a viable option. Like I guess the main issue that we're trying to deal with is to control the uses of the property. Typically, the way that the zoning bylaw and the official plan are structured is that the resort commercial zone has been kind of put in place to implement the recreational areas designation of the official plan. So it might be a little bit more clean to have to use that zone with site-specific provisions. But regardless of which zoning category we use, the main thing we have to control is what the uses are that would be permitted on the subject lands. Which we could do that through. Yeah, sorry, through the chair. We could do that so we could do that either through the agricultural zone or through the resort commercial zone, and it wouldn't have an impact in outcome.
Well, question to you. This is an idea that sort of bridges the concerns everybody has with respect to having a residential home, permitted on the area. So is there any intent to sever off the residential area in the future?
All I know is that, no, well, right now, no. And I don't know that lot area, like, I'm just not sure that Yeah, you could do that. I suppose it's a possibility, but at present, no intention to sever it.
That's true. So I think that should be one of the conditions. The other comment I got is you have a wavy line through there. Can we not simplify it for survey purposes, just a straight line parallel to one of the other lines?
Which wavy line, sir?
Well, the property line, north property line, jagging out the pink from the, separating the pink from the green.
Yeah, so it looks like that just because that follows the tree line.
Yeah.
And the tree line creates the pocket and
So why not just draw a straight line across where the most northern extremity is of the pink to make it a nice straight line for survey purposes?
Can I? Would I be able? Yeah. The issue with that is my understanding is that the intent is to not allow the expansion of the use, to recognize what's existing. If the line ultimately becomes a straight line, what may happen is the use may start to expand northward.
I see what you're saying, okay. I'm just looking at downstream to make it more easy for surveyors, but I guess with I not being a surveyor, they could figure this out.
they could figure it out.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna summarize what I've heard so far from the committee members. And these will be our comments. Correct me as I read off the suggested comments I read. So first item is maintain or enhance the tree screen. With that. Confirm the MDS requirement. Consider including the number of vehicles permitted or associated acreage. Jesse, you said, I try to understand what your comment was. You said you can do vehicle numbers or you can do it based on area. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. Right now there's an existing trailer storage area that's shown on the plan. So one of the approaches might be to have the split zone, have it specifically identified which part of the property trailers may be stored on.
Okay, so it'd be, so the comment would be is include the number of vehicles permitted or designate the area specifically permitted for trailer storage.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, no, the other condition I have is, no service permitted on the property.
Sorry, through the chair, may I comment on that before you
Sure.
decide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So through the zoning bylaw, you can't specify that no severance is permitted. The way that would typically be controlled is by specifying that the lot the lot area is as existing. So that means if someone were to come in for a severance, they would have to go through a zoning bylaw amendment.
Okay, so how would that best be captured? Because I just definitely don't want to maintain have a severance here. At the same time, want to make sure the comment gets through.
So, sorry, through the chair.
I'm gonna suggest no severance permitted, use to be captured through maintaining existing area of property. That makes sense, Jesse?
Through the chair, yes, it does.
Okay. All right, we had some discussion on site plan agreement. Jesse, do we need a site plan agreement for this?
We would recommend that we haven't prepared the recommendation report yet, but we would recommend that a site plan agreement be provided, which is consistent with the Planning Act and also our previous approaches.
So this is what Chris was alluding to. I agree with that. So our comment would be a, consider site plan agreement. Hey, Monica, give it to you to read.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to ask if this, which was previously mentioned, should be included. That the draft bylaw was referring to a size of 0.4 hectares, and there was a suggestion to have that removed from the draft bylaw. Is that something that you would like to have?
I don't think that's germane to this discussion, so.
Okay,
I think we just solved it through the non-severance question.
okay, perfect.
Okay, so I'd like to preface that these comments are based on the proposed split zoning. Yes,
Mr. Chairman, if I could just comment on the requirement for site plan approval.
well, these are our comments, so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so council staff will look at it and agree with it, and then go to council, like, we have no comments to,
Fair enough.
no any comment.
Well, but my only reason for just wanting to clarify is, I think there also is, I'm not opposed to a form of site plan, as I mentioned, but I don't think it's a standard, like, full-blown site plan application. And there's on the practical side of things, $25,000.
Well, I think you should discuss that with staff, so.
Okay, as long as we've got opportunity to do that.
I'm not sure that's our comments, we're not making any decisions, these are our comments we pass on to.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
That report PDAC 2026-004 entitled zoning bylaw amendment application D14/bar. Request for the committee's review and comments be received, and that the committee provide the following comments for council's consideration for the proposed split zoning that was presented at the Planning and Development Advisory Committee meeting. The following considerations: no severance to be permitted and to be captured through maintaining existing area of the property, maintain or enhance the tree screen, confirm the MDS requirements, consider including the number of recreational vehicles permitted or the designated area specifically permitted to have recreational vehicles, and the committee is requesting consideration for a site plan agreement.
Okay, any comments?
I would argue slightly with trying to put a number on the vehicles.
Well, we said, vehicle numbers or our area.
And I agree with the area, but trying to do the vehicle count. These vehicles vary dramatically in size, unlike a car.
And I think we can leave it up to staff to figure out the best way.
Yep, but I'm okay with it, yeah.
Okay, all right, so a mover and a seconder, moved by Kim, seconded by Chris, all in favor? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so staff reports, we have none, correspondence none, new business, anybody have any new business? No? Okay, adjournment.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we need to go back to the resolutions for the agenda and the minutes, please.
Oh, sorry, I missed that, okay, you please, read the confirmation agenda.
Yes, that the committee approves the March 10th, 2026 PDAC agenda as circulated.
Okay, mover. Carol, second Kim, all in favor? Great, I'm sorry to start.
And one more resolution through you, Mr. Chair, that the Planning and Development Advisory Committee approves the minutes from the meeting held on February 10th, 2026 as circulated.
Okay, moved by Chris, second by Kim again, all in favor? Alrighty,
And adjournment and the planning and, that the Planning and Development Advisory Committee hereby adjourn at 8:09 p.m.
okay, mover. Kim, second Chris, all in favor? Great, thank you. We're silent now?
I am getting that ready. Everyone have a good night.